Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Floodlights Camera Action. From Alex Garland to Alex Iwobi, we look to bridge a gap between film and football and tell you exactly what films you should be watching and what ones to avoid. I'm Jack, but a podcast is only as good as its co-host. Every week, I'm joined by my good friend Veronika, that's a tongue twister, to work through the do's and don'ts of film watching. Veronika, how are you?
I'm good. I've been loving the fact that it's been really sunny and I've been at work the whole time, so it's been great.
Yeah, I have to edit this episode because I've been dealt the short straw, and this is eating into my suntan time. I should be in the garden with a book, but alas, I am editing this here fair podcast. A bit of a short one today, not super short, but a bit of a shorter one. We're going to chat about some films we've been watching. We're going to chat about Veronika's experience on a film tour, which sounded very exciting. I wasn't there because I was busy. So yeah, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Thunderbolts or Warfare? You can choose.
What? Why would we? Oh, why would we be starting with those? Oh, is it because we both watched them all?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Let's start with Thunderbolts.
Good choice. I liked it. Hot take. I liked it.
I don't think that's a hot take.
There's sarcasm in that. It's very well received. It's what was your experience like watching it? Because obviously you're not MCU pilled at all. I used to be MCU pilled. Now, recovering MCU pilled. Yeah, what was your experience like?
Well, I went on the 1st of May. It was like I don't know what it was called. It was some kind of screening, but it was at BFI IMAX, so I watched it on the biggest screen possible. And I really liked it. I feel like I like every film I see there because the experience is just elevated by everything around it. But it's still possible not to like it. It could have still been bad, and it wasn't. I actually was quite impressed by the fact that it seemed like a film for adults. I thought that was already a positive step.
I agree. I think the thing with Marvel films that I tend to find is that they try and take on the kind of the themes not specifically the themes in this film, but they try and take on adult themes, but a lot of the time they get undercut by jokes or poor delivery. Whereas with this one, there's a point in the third act. We won't spoil it, of course, because it's fresh and new. But there's a point in the third act where it kind of comes to a conclusion, and just in the lead up to that, I was thinking, please do what I think you're going to do, and they did it, and I was literally like bawling my eyes out with tears, which never really happens with films, as we know. And it really hit me because of just how well executed it was. And then I kind of stopped crying as I wiped my eyes, and then all around me, it's like a pretty packed out cinema. And all I could hear was like grown men going, just just like stifling tears. And I think credit where it's due to the MCU. That I think this is not a perfect film. It's not one of the best
credit where
films.
it's due to whoever wrote it, whoever directed it, and the actors, not the MCU.
Jake Schreiber, something like that. He did Beef,
He's
which
apparently
I
directing a new
haven't
X-Men
watched.
film, which would be really cool.
I like that. That's a good.
Yeah.
There was good group dynamics.
Also,
any other thoughts? I've got a lot of thoughts on it.
I've got more thoughts. Yeah, I want to say I was also impressed by the concept of the villain. I thought it was really interesting. I haven't seen I'm not gonna say what he did or whatever, but his kind of power, I guess, it was actually scary. Like when it started happening, when he started doing it, it was actually fucking hell. That's actually really dark.
Do you know what moment it was for me? That it was obviously again I'm trying not to spoil it. There's a moment at the beginning of the third act where David Harbour's character, he kind of becomes a hero, and then not evil, but the villain's powers hit. And I was like, my jaws, I was like, fuck.
Yeah, it's actually you can't believe that they've done that in a Marvel film. It's actually really dark. Yeah.
Yeah, I in terms of, I'll do some scattergun thoughts now because so did I. I think the performance is a good place to start. I really like Florence Pugh.
But she would not have been a goalkeeper. Come on.
No, she's too short. She's too short.
She
Come
is,
on.
absolutely.
Where was I? Oh yeah, other performances I liked. I normally don't like him in much in things, but I like David Harbour. I thought he did really well. I like Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I liked Wyatt Russell a lot because he's just like one of my guys. Controversially, I think Sebastian Stan is just fine in this. I think he doesn't do a bad job by any means, but he's just distinctly fine.
He's It's not testament to him. I just think his character's quite cool. That's why people like it. It's not really like a acting thing. It's just
Yeah.
like he's just
It,
cool. Like Bucky's just pretty cool.
if you like what if you like what Bucky offers, which I do, you're gonna like him. I think for me the standout though was Lewis Pullman as
Yeah, I
Bob.
really liked him.
I thought he was so good. I think the woman who played Ghost, I think it's Hannah John Kamen, and the woman who played Taskmaster were kind of like non-entities for me, which is a shame. Um, I think the first act is really all over the place and contrived.
I think it
Despite there
definitely
being some
gets
fun in there,
better
of
as it
course,
goes on. Yeah,
for sure. The second act, I'm not. Was there a second act?
I
I
don't
can't
know.
remember what happened in the second act. It was a really long first act and a really long second act, a third act, which I actually quite liked. And then by the end of the film, it kind of builds like a snowball, and it just really, really delivers. And I think, yeah, it's just really refreshing. Like I want to see MCU films do well because they get bums in seats, people are entertained by them, and ultimately, like when I was a kid, when I was younger, I loved these films for good reason. They weren't bad films back then, but they did lose their way somewhere after kind of in that kind of 2022 to 2024 range, around that kind of early 2020s. But I'm hoping that between this Fantastic Four and some others, we're kind of getting in the right direction.
Yeah, I think the important thing here is you don't want people to be going just because it's a Marvel film. You want people to be going because it's a Marvel film and it's good. Like, and then you want people to come out of it
Definitely.
thinking, "Wow, I actually really like that film. I'm going to watch more films." Because if you come out of it thinking, "Yeah, I guess that's my one film a year done. I watched the new Avengers," it's like, oh, I don't know. What was the point?
Yeah.
Money, and that's it.
I also I know they get a lot of criticism, and a lot of that criticism is completely fair. I do think generally blockbuster cinema and superhero cinema is a force for good, in my opinion, when it's done right, obviously. Because as you say, it gets people's bums in seats. If that one person, or like, if thousands of people go to cinema and it's like one of their early trips to cinema, and they get there early, they get their popcorn, they get whatever, they get their cokes, and they watch the film and they really enjoy it, and then they think back to the trailers and they go, "Oh my god, there was that one film I want to see," and oh, actually, I'd quite like to go to that film as well. That
Yeah.
ultimately makes the theatre industry stronger. But yeah, I'd probably give it about a 7 out of 10. It's not one of my favorite MCU films. It's just about, I think it's probably about seventh of the year for me so far. So I doubt it'll be in my top 10 by the end of the year. But no, fair play to everyone involved.
I'm
It
not gonna
it
lie, I was
was
closer
definitely
to giving it a
overhyped.
4 than a 3.
Yeah, I couldn't quite work
I
out where
think
I
I
was. I
liked it
think
more than you did.
I'd say it's probably fair. Yeah, I don't know. Like I think because yeah, I definitely
Maybe
liked
because I
it,
watched
but
it on like the best possible thing you could watch it on, and I was just really impressed by
yeah,
everything. But
yeah.
yeah,
I should say I saw this on. So I saw this on Bank Holiday Monday, and I was coming back from a charity match at Fratton Park in to raise money for Alan Knight's prostate cancer drive, um, which basically saw a bunch of like Pompey legends and celebrities play against each other. One of which being John Mousinho played his first 90 in since he retired, and very early in the game, so he played at centre back. He made an overlapping run on the right wing, and just fell flat on his face without even touching the ball, and that's good stuff. That's some good stuff right there. And then on the way back, I was like, oh, I'll just go to the cinema because why not? Um, but yeah, any more thoughts before we move on?
um, yeah, I think the next blockbuster film everyone should be looking out for is Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
I've already got my
yes.
tickets. I'm going to BFI IMAX 21st of May. We will be there, and actually, every single screening that wasn't like during the day because most people at work was sold out completely, and I had to go on a day where I have a day off so I could go early, because otherwise, literally every IMAX thing is sold out, and that makes me really happy. I hope that all the other cinemas follow suit and people go get their tickets because it's going to be the biggest film
This
of
is
the
the
year
power of Tom Cruise.
in like every way.
Yeah,
It will
I'd
be
agree with that.
like the biggest production. It's like the culmination of an arc that's been going on for how long, like an
30
insane
years,
amount of
something like that.
time. Exactly. It's like it just is the biggest film of the year, and you have to go watch it.
Also,
And then
like,
it
it's
turns out
Tom
it's bad, but it's
Cruise.
absolutely not going to be bad. It's going to be
No,
amazing.
even if it's like I didn't love Dead Reckoning. Even if it's
I
as good
did.
as Dead Reckoning, that is a win for me. I find it very hard to believe it all. I think Fallout for me is like the gold standard of Mission
Yeah.
Impossible films. But if it even comes close to that, it's a win for cinema. It's a win for Tom Cruise. It's a win for the cruise missile heads. You know, that's cinema, baby. When is it
Did,
out?
it's
Late May,
out
right?
on the 21st of May.
Woo!
Or
I need to buy.
20th,
I
yeah.
need to buy. Need to buy a ticket. I'm gonna. You know that guy Mac on Twitter who went like to see June 2 about 8 million
Yeah.
times. I need to
That's
see
gonna
that.
be you.
I mean, my bank balance cannot justify that, but you know, life finds
But
a way. I'll befriend Tom Cruise.
did you see the new trailer? Because I've been to the cinema quite a lot, obviously, in the past like month or so. And it's always the same trailer, but actually when I went to see Thunderbolts, it was a new trailer for Mission Impossible. Did you see it?
Yeah, I mean they played a Mission Impossible trailer. I'm not. I think it might have been the same one. What's different in your one?
I don't know, but there was definitely different scenes. Like there was that bit where his head actually goes into the thing that he has the key for to plug himself in,
Oh
and
yeah,
there's
yeah.
actually a scene where
That's the
it
second
actually
trailer.
shows him
Yeah,
in that, like his head in it.
yeah. That
You didn't see that
they
before.
played that one. They played.
Yeah,
Yeah, they played that one. I think like this the marketing's been great. I'm just like that
but we
episode
still need
when
more
we
to like
both watch
from
it.
now.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think Tom Cruise is going around the world doing a globetrotting adventure, trying to make people buy the film. Um, I think that episode when we review Mission Impossible Final Reckoning that is going to be a fun one. But yeah, should we move on to Warfare or anything else?
Yeah, we'll do Warfare and then we'll just go through the rest of the films we watched. Yeah, sure.
Perfect.
Because you watched it,
I'll lead
obviously. I
on this
watched it
one.
before.
Yeah, so this review's been coming for about a month now because every episode's Veronica going, when you finally see Warfare, we can talk about what Alex Garland said. Um, Straight off the bat, I would give this a 4 out of 5. Um, I think for most of the film is a 4.5, pushing a 5.
Yeah, I agree.
I will have to say this will be a spoiler review, because I think it's impossible not to say my true thoughts of the film without it. So, just
And
maybe look at the
also,
chapter markings and skip ahead.
knowing spoilers will not make your experience any less because this film isn't really about the plot or what is going on. It's more about the sound and the visual and being at a cinema watching it and just taking it all in because it will still be impactful if you know like some things that happen pretty much. I think we can
Yeah,
agree on that.
so I'd say so. Which is slightly a fault of the film that it doesn't harm it, but whatever. Where to start? I mean, as Veronica says, the strengths are the sound is just incredible. It's like sickening. The production design is exquisite. The acting on a collective is really strong. Individually, I think Joseph Quinn's the
Joseph
only
Quinn.
standout individually.
Yeah.
I think Will Poulter's like good, but it doesn't. The film doesn't really allow for strong individual performances. I think that's fair to say. I think that's a fair comment. Um, what else? What else? What else? Makeup, hairstyling, and costuming are very good as well. I think this would be. I don't know. It should really win the Oscar for best sound, but I don't. I can
It
see it
absolutely
getting no
should.
nominations.
Yeah.
Because it's an Alex Garland film.
It's like how Civil War,
um,
I don't think they did either, even though it had
yeah,
really good sound.
I think in terms of narrative delivery, the way they wanted to pursue it. I recently watched Alex Garland. He did, and I think I can't remember who it is that does it, but they do like, here's this filmmaker. We talk about the most important films of their career, and it's like 5 minutes for each one. He talked about warfare, obviously, and he kind of spoke about how the narrative was being told through the memories of the soldiers. So there wasn't much room for exploration of the other side, so to speak, as in the Iraqi soldiers and the Iraqi civilians that were traumatized and harmed by an illegal, immoral, disgusting war that never should have took place. And I think most of the film is very strong. It's definitely anti-war. It's
Hmm.
definitely it. Anyone that watches this film and says it's pro-war is kind of talking
You're
bollocks,
stupid.
unless their argument is that all war films are inherently somewhat pro-war, which I don't agree with, but I think that has more credence than individually saying that film is pro-war, that film is anti-war. This is anti-war. It just is. It doesn't glorify war. In fact, to a point where
It's actually like
explosions were happening.
you don't want to like look at the screen. I actually at some points had to
Like,
just look away. And
yeah, me too.
okay, that bit where Joseph Quinn is screaming for about 10 minutes. Like
Yeah,
I couldn't look at the screen, and it that didn't even help because you can't not listen to
Yeah.
the like
Joseph Quinn.
terrifying screams that he's doing.
Joseph Quinn penis on the on IMAX screens is no one needs to see that. But no, as you say, it was definitely didn't glorify war because I felt like I was going to throw up about 3 times.
I
Like
did as well, actually.
it was grim. It was horrible. Um, and I think I get to the end credits, or not to the end credits. So I get to the end of the film, and I think they've done a very good job of this. And then the film really fucks itself. Not enough to it ruins it. It doesn't ruin the film for me, but it does ruin the narrative message of the film. This is spoilers, I should say. It goes black, and then montage footage starts of the veteran. But this is a true story, we should say. The veterans from the actual events of the film itself. They are visiting the set of the film, laughing and joking, palling around with, and the way they recreated the house was literally like for like. It's basically like square inch for square inch. This is a house where these people had the darkest moments of their life. I'm not telling them how to, react to their trauma or whatever. That's not what I'm trying to say. But it's also the home of an incredibly traumatized, innocent family who were made victims of a war that was illegal, immoral, disgusting, should never have took place. I don't think it was Alex Garland's intention to make them look like heroes or to diminish the experience of anyone involved negatively. However, for me, it absolutely does paint them as heroes, and it paints it as somewhat not serious. I understand what they did as well is they put pictures of the cast member and the soldier side by side. That would have been, for me, fine. I get that, and it shows the
Yeah.
reality of war, and that these are real people. Unfortunately for me, showing them laughing and joking is absolutely disgusting, and it's still. I watched this. Was it Tuesday? I think it was. Yeah, Tuesday. I've still got such a bad aftertaste in my mouth from that. Um, so this for me, this is an incredible film. It's one of the better ones of the year. But that message at the end is. I don't think Alex Garland intended for it to be that way. I think maybe Ray Mendoza. Not that he intended for it to look
Mm-hmm.
pro-war at all, but I think that was one of the decisions that Ray Mendoza made because ultimately these were his friends, these were his brothers. So he probably would have wanted to show them in like, oh, they're okay, they're doing well, kind of thing. But ultimately, the impact is that they portray them like heroes, essentially.
Yeah. I think you said it quite well, actually. I think I just wanted to say some stuff about the Q&A that I couldn't say last time because you
Yes,
hadn't watched it.
finally.
I mean, it's not like fun things, but I think what you said about the end with the showing the green screen and the veterans meeting the actors and stuff. I mean, yeah, he said his explanation for it is that it's just to show that it's a film and it's not 100% accurate recreation, and that although this did happen, like these people obviously aren't in that position now and whatever. And I agree with you that I don't think it should have been there. I think that maybe he bit off more than he could chew. Like he tried to do something, or Ray Mendoza
Famously,
wanted it
Alex
there.
Garland's.
Yeah, like he
So can I
just
jump
went
in
a
very
bit too
quickly?
far, or he
Yeah,
thought that
can I
he
jump in
could.
very quickly? So
Yeah.
we were chatting over Discord when after I saw the film. And you mentioned that he said, what was it line? You said that it was important to remember that it's just a film. Is that basically the line
Yeah, pretty
ish?
much. Yeah.
I take fault with that when you make the whole point of the film that it's a realistic true story and it's true portrayal. I don't think you can use the argument, oh, it's just a film, when the whole idea of the film revolves around the idea that this is realistic and like for like and is a true perfect representation of the memories. I don't think that holds up. I think that for me that is a
Well,
weak excuse.
he said it's not perfect. It's like it's as close as he could get.
Again, I agree, but I personally, like, I should say I like Alex Garland. I've not seen an Alex Garland film I dislike. Ex Machina is still his favorite, my favorite work of his. I wasn't as high on Civil War, but even the Civil War is like a 7 out of 10 film for me, and Warfare's another 8 out of 10 film. But I don't know. I feel like to me, I feel it was like a cop out. It
No, I
does.
think it was stupid. I think he with doing that he opened himself up for criticism that maybe isn't accurate or like doesn't reflect what he wanted to do pretty much. Like, you can't blame people for thinking that after seeing the end bit of the film, then criticizing his intentions or not giving him benefit of the doubt, because you're putting that doubt into their minds by including that, If you didn't, then I don't think anyone would have a problem with this film. Like, genuinely. I mean, some
Yeah,
people who
yeah.
haven't watched it still have a problem, but the people who have watched it wouldn't, find it so hard to, like, say that his intentions were not bad, because I really don't think they were. Like, he meant...
Yeah,
some of the Q&A questions were very interesting, and I mean, they just made me keep changing my opinion on what I think about him and the film. So someone asked him, and I think he got a bit offended by this question. Someone asked him a question that was something like, why do you think these soldiers are still in the army? Like, or what? I don't think they were in the army. They were in the I can't remember what it's called, but okay, let's just say army. Like, why do you think they're still soldiers? Because most of these people are still, like, going on missions and
well, yeah, they blacked
whatever.
out they blacked out like the eyes, and they blurred the faces of quite a few
Yeah,
soldiers.
yeah,
Obviously
because they're
still
still
serving.
soldiers. Yeah. And someone asked him, why do you think they're still doing it if they went through this, like, traumatizing experience and they almost died? And so Alex Garland was, in replying, got quite defensive, actually, and he said...
I don't think that's a great question, personally.
I don't think it's a great question, but he said... He basically went on to say, like, we don't know these people, and, some of them, like, you don't know their reasons for, going to join an army or becoming a soldier or whatever. Like, some of them are just really good at it, and they have nothing else that they could be doing in life, which
also,
I don't really, I agree with that. But
a lot of them feel like they're serving their country, which is like
yeah, but they
to an
also feel
extent
like they have a family around them, right? Because they get so close to the other
there's a brotherhood.
men there.
There's a brotherhood
Yeah,
to
it is. But yeah, he said something like that, and then he also, so you'd think that he was maybe defending them a bit, or their reasons or whatever. I mean, it is very nuanced of a topic to talk about. But then he actually said, and this was the bit where I was like, okay, like, I don't think that his intentions were bad, because he told us things like, when he was asking these soldiers about the memory of this event, apparently some of them didn't even remember there was a family in that house. They completely... And then when he asked them about it, they were like, what are you talking about? There's no one there. Like, that's how... I mean, that's just so fucked up. That's, like... Oh, God, that their brain completely, like, erased the fact that there was a family there in that house that they displaced, and that they put through, like, such an awful, like, experience. And I found that crazy. And he also did answer a question about why there isn't too much about the other side of the war.
Can I very quickly jump in, because I was going to make that point.
Yeah.
I was going to make that point. So one of my biggest criticisms of films about things like the Iraq War is that often those on the side of Iraq are labelled as kind of nameless, faceless terrorists that are just trying to get the good guys. And I think that's a fair critique in a lot of films. This film does fall into that, but that wasn't because of a lack of intention. That's because of the way the narrative was constructed, obviously constructed from the memories of the soldiers, and it's kind of told minute for minute almost. It would have been impossible within that narrative choice to have this really in-depth criticism of the legality of the Iraq War and the morality of it, because ultimately that wasn't what the film was for. And whether you can have issue with the narrative choice, but you couldn't do it within the narrative of this film. I think there is actually a really interesting film if you flip it from the perspective of the family. But again, I understand why that wasn't taken on, because it's wouldn't have been an easy film to make at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my kind of biggest criticism going into the film, like kind of worry going into the film. And ultimately the criticism was somewhat valid, but I don't think you can critique the film too much for it, because it would have been impossible to fit into that narrative.
They did some things to make it But I mean, obviously, it wasn't completely, like, pro USA. USA is great for being in the war. That's not what the film is. It's just that it was hard to present the other side. He answered a question about it, and he said that first of all, like, that's a completely different film. But second of all, because he tried to make this recreation from the soldiers' memories, he felt like he didn't want to, like, impose himself onto the Iraqi soldiers' experiences because he didn't have access to, like, their stories, right? Like, he couldn't go and ask them to recreate that moment specifically from their perspective, and he didn't just want to make up what they would have thought or what they would have seen or, what they would have said,
Do you know
pretty
what it
much,
reminds me of?
which
I
doesn't
just thought of
make
a weird
sense.
comparison. So back when Oppenheimer dropped, not dropped like the nuclear, that's a bad turn of phrase.
Yeah,
Back when Oppenheimer was released, there was a lot of criticism about it. Pardon me, about the impact on the Japanese side and about the impact the bomb had on the Japanese.
yeah,
But ultimately, as you say, that is a completely different film. Why should Christopher Nolan be the man to make that film? It's completely unfair. And similarly to Warfare, Oppenheimer did combat that by scenes where you remember after the bomb got dropped and he was doing the speech and he actually
yeah.
like he had a vision of putting his body through the corpse and the screaming. Warfare does it similarly in
Hmm.
that you can if you try and make the film back the other side, rightfully or wrongfully, it's a completely different film.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think that's a good way to end it, to be honest. I think we've covered it quite well. Obviously, we both have a similar opinion on it, and I think we can
Same
both
score, I
agree that
think.
most of the criticism is unwarranted because people are just kind of seeing what they want to see. But then also, you know, it could have been better, and he shouldn't have added that end bit because it does leave a bit of a sour taste in your mouth, especially if you were trying to give him benefit of doubt and you know that his intentions were not bad. Pretty much.
Yeah. To end it, I will say this is a really good film. I will never ever watch it again in my entire life
Absolutely not. I
because I
was
felt
like
sick.
shaken up. Yeah, yeah, never.
Anyway, moving on. Veronica has got 6 films to discuss. I've got four, so we'll go 2 for 2 and 3 for 3. Do you want to go first or second?
I'll go first. Okay,
Choose something
I
light first. I think something upbeat.
well, I don't know if it's upbeat. It's just a bad film. So I watched this film that I've been looking forward to for so long, and it's called Parthenope by Paolo
Say why you've been looking forward
Sorrentino.
to it. Come on, say why.
Listen, I've been looking forward to this film because it was at Cannes last year, right? And the trailer was good. The the location, I think it was in Naples. I'm pretty sure it was in Naples. Um, it's absolutely gorgeous, and the cinematography in this film is incredible. I think we've already
Can I
said we
stop
should
you?
do a tier list of like the most beautiful countries to be shown on film because
I
Italy for
agree.
me is
I'm going to
number
stop you
one.
there. I want to stop you there.
Yeah,
I'm going
hurry
to
up.
make this noise, and then you're going to say why you're actually excited for this film.
No, I can't hear it.
Say why.
I can't
I was
hear
on
it.
preview. Bear with, I'll do it again.
This doesn't need a drum roll. This no, you're just saying that. This isn't true. This is not true, okay?
It is
The
true.
trailer was
It is
good.
true.
Listen, the trailer was
You're,
good, okay?
you are chatting shit. Say the
Alright,
honest
listen.
truth.
Okay, listen. Okay, the lead actress is probably like the most beautiful woman I've ever seen on screen.
There
I'll
we
say
go.
it. I'll
There we
say
go.
it, okay? But guess what? It didn't help. The film was rubbish. It was like 2 hours of nothing. She was a nothing character. I know nothing about this character at all. She was like really hot, obviously. Gary Oldman's in it, and he's gay, and I I don't really. He just speaks in riddles. And he's like the one person who doesn't see her for her looks because he's gay. Do you get it? Um, and so she likes him. And also her professor, he also sees her for being really smart and not just a really hot woman. Oh my god, like he's just so incredible. And it's basically this film about like, what would life be like if you were like the hottest woman in the world? That's pretty much it. Like, and it's so over exaggerated. It's actually funny at times.
I often have that. I often have those thoughts about if I was the hottest. I was like, oh, what would life be like if I was the hottest woman in the world? But this film, was it called Parthenope? Something like that. Clearly answers that.
Parthenope.
Yeah, I'm
Parthenope.
not doing. I'm not putting this. Imagine if I tried to put a stank on that accent. Get cancelled.
Well, anyway, so it like some of the okay. First of all, I don't even know if she was in love with her brother or not. That was not clear. Okay, that was really weird. Second of all, um, like it's just so weird. Like so, you could really tell that a man wrote this film. I'm just gonna say, I'm not trying to be woke or anything, but it's just so like funny. Like she'll literally walk into a room, and every single man in the room and woman will just look at her, and it's so obvious. Like it's done in such an obvious way. Like it's like this does not happen. Like it's just so stupid. Or like she'll just have random men going up to her and being like, "Can I take you out for dinner?" And it's like this doesn't really happen. You know, you're making this so much like. And okay, I've read review. I gave it 2 stars, by the way. 2 stars just for the actress Celeste Dalla Porta, because yeah, she's really attractive, and that's the only reason I even got through the film. But oh, and also because the cinematography, it looks really good. And at the end, there's like a Napoli title parade, like a football thing, and it's kind of weird.
Just Scott
Anyway,
McTominay turns up for the last 10 minutes out of nowhere.
yeah, pretty much. But okay, apparently this film is so she is not actually meant to be a woman. Apparently she's a representation of Naples. Which is like, okay, I don't really care. That makes it even more boring. But also, like, if you're watching the film for what it is, it's literally just some guy who's like, what if we thought about what it's like to be really hot woman, and then it's just like, oh, no one can believe that she's actually really smart. Everyone just sees her for her looks. Oh no. And
Fellas, is
that's
it
like
gay to be a hot and intelligent woman? I don't think so.
the whole film. And you just like this film is over 2 hours long. What are we doing? Like, God, I don't know.
You've been hot milked, is what you've been.
Yeah,
You've been lured in
yeah,
by the cinematography, the hot women, and the
yeah,
something I don't know whatever the film's about, and then you've been hamstrung by a bad film.
yeah. It's actually quite funny because this film is about how like beauty and whatever and aging and how women lust. Oh no, men lust over this really hot woman. But actually, the film itself is really beautiful with the way that it looks. But there's actually nothing underneath the surface, which is crazy because this film is pretty much trying to subvert that in what it's about. And it turns out actually the film is what it's trying not to be. Does that make sense? Like, it's quite ironic that the film is just really beautiful and has absolutely nothing else. When
Very surface level, yeah.
that's what
Almost
it's
like it,
trying to
almost like it's written
make
by a
her
man.
seem like she's not, but the film is. So yeah, it's really disappointing. I actually wanted to like that film, man. Whatever. So I don't recommend it. And the next film I watched was Carol, which is Todd Haynes directed. So we love Todd Haynes, and
Love Todd
I just thought
Haynes.
like this was after we did the other podcast, and you talked about Velvet Goldmine. I was like, you know what, I want to watch another Todd Haynes film.
Oh, by the way, I
So
recommended Velvet Goldmine to someone, and he really liked it. The word is spreading about Velvet Goldmine.
good. The Goldmine mine is getting bigger. Does that make sense? No. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm gonna leave you with
so I
that one.
watched Carol. I actually watched it with my mum, and I didn't know that there were like certain scenes, and that was a bit awkward. But anyway, it's about this woman who works at a shop. She's played by Rooney Mara, who we all know and love, I guess. And then she falls for an older married woman who is played by Kate Blanchett, who we love and who is apparently retiring from acting. So that's really sad.
Rest in peace, Kate
And
Blanchett.
yeah, and so it's
She's not
set in
dead.
the
She's
set in
retiring.
the 50s. I gave it 4 stars. It's close to a 3.5. I'm not gonna lie. I really like it. Obviously, I mean Todd Haynes is really good at what he does. It's directed really well. It looks great. I think the acting is good. Um, my like, there's just something about it that just doesn't really click with me. I don't know what it is. I like the screenplay. There's just something about it that makes it a bit flat at times. And I think the ending is really good, which made me give it 4 stars. Because I feel like the ending is really important. If a film ends incredibly well, it does make me see the film in a different light. I think that's fair to say.
It's not about how you start, it's how you finish.
Exactly. And then I feel like on rewatch, I'd probably would give it a definite 4 stars, because then obviously I know the ending and you can kind of see it in a different way or whatever. But yeah, maybe it was a 3.5 or 4. It's like I'd say it's a good film to watch at Christmas, because it is a Christmas film. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'd recommend it. I don't recommend it more if you're gay, because you'd probably like it more. If you're not, you'd probably
You
be
as in
like,
me, or you as in the listener?
I guess both.
You would love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely like don't expect it to be action packed. I guess like it's quite a slow film.
It's
It's
not
a
like
slow burn.
I've not seen it, but it's whereas like you look at like Velvet Goldmine, which is like
Yeah, it's like the
exhilarating,
opposite.
high octane.
Exactly. So don't expect Velvet Goldmine 2. It's like is it just a slower Todd Haynes film? It's not even
More
like
of a
May
May December
December.
than a
It's
Velvet
slower than
Goldmine.
May December. No, it's way
Slower
slower.
than May December. I tell
May
you what, he
December
made a
wasn't
film about Bob
slow.
Dylan. I've not seen it for years. I can't really remember. I loved it, but I
What do you
can't
mean for
remember it.
years? It was like 2 years ago. Jeez.
That's multiple years, isn't it? Um, but no, he did a film called I'm Not There about Bob Dylan, and that I liked it, but again, it was like slow Todd Haynes, which I don't love as much. I love fast Todd Haynes. I love fast films, in fairness.
Apparently, there's that film called Safe that's really good by Todd Haynes. Has Julianne Moore
Shout out
playing
Todd
the lead.
Haynes.
So I might
I
watch that
love
soon.
Julianne Moore's my favorite ever actress,
I
so I
love
might put
Julianne
that
Moore.
on.
Julianne Moore's great.
Anyway, one
Anyway,
more. Come on, the speed. We said it'd be
one
a speedy
more.
one. Yeah, you've done 2.
This is not a speedy one.
You
This
did.
is a film that I rate 4.5. And
Whoa.
yeah, big. So I was talking to a friend and he mentioned Greg Araki, and I've been wanting to go through his films for so long, and I just thought, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna go and watch loads of Greg Araki films because I've wanted to for so long. And he's known as probably one of the like revolutionary filmmakers of queer cinema, pretty much. And his most famous film is called Mysterious Skin. You've probably heard of it, right? Surely.
Heard of it, not seen it. Heard of it, not
Yeah,
seen it.
well, you've heard of it.
Question: is he still alive, Greg Araki?
Yeah, he's making another film.
Because good, because you won't be critiqued. But apparently I only watch David Lynch films because he died. So you're safe from that criticism.
Well, yeah, because he's nowhere near dead. Like, what are you talking
Exactly.
about?
Your Greg Araki binge it's legal. It's moral.
Right. No, he has a new film coming out, I think, next year, and it actually features Charlie XCX, Cooper Hoffman, and Olivia Wilde.
That is the most
So,
like
you better get on your
Cooper
Greg
Hoffman.
Araki catch-up before that comes out, because I know you'll be in the cinema.
Poor
Come
Cooper
on.
Hoffman, man. Just sandwiched between shit.
What are you on about? Both of those are good. Well, I like Olivia
Charlie XCX is
Wilde.
not a good. Charlie XCX is not a good
You
actor.
don't know that. She was in the
I've
Angry
got a
Birds
feeling.
movie, and that's it.
Sometimes when you know.
Nah, shut up.
But no, I will
Listen,
be.
I
I will be
trust Greg
seated.
Araki. You don't get it. You just don't get it.
I
You
trust
don't get
Cooper
it. You're
Hoffman.
straight. You just don't get it.
That's all my fault.
You
Yeah.
don't get it. Shut up. Alright, anyway, let me talk about Mysterious Skin. So anyway, it's actually quite traumatic of a film. I'm not gonna lie. So all I've seen about Greg Araki films is like, so his other films are very much a group of young people in the 90s or 80s, I think I'd say 90s, maybe late 80s. Right, anyway, it's like a group of young people in the 80s/90s era going around doing random shit. There's some surrealism. They're just like, hanging out, whatever. I think you'd really like those films. There's like a trilogy of these films, which I'm going to talk about later, that are pretty much just young people in the 90s, 80s, hanging out, doing random shit, doing drugs, drinking, going to parties, walking around the streets, and there's loads of surrealism stuff and metaphors hidden
Getting Dazed
everywhere
and
and whatever.
Confused vibes a little bit. Dazed and Confused meets David Lynch.
No.
You say surrealism,
No.
I hear David Lynch, but it does
When I
sound
hear
interesting.
surrealism, I think
I'm
of it's
interested.
just it happens in a lot of films, and it's just not specific to a certain director. But sure.
No, but
Anyway,
sorry, that is a weird. When you say a certain genre, you would think of,
no, I wouldn't.
well, if I said like sex worker cinema, what are you going to think of?
No one?
Sean Baker, come on, that's ridiculous. You don't believe that?
No, I don't. I don't think like that.
Okay, whatever. Carry on.
Anyway, so Mysterious Skin, the lead is played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who is very good in this film, and you probably know him from 500 Days of Summer, or whatever
Everything.
that film was.
10
Yeah,
Things I Hate About
he's
You.
great.
He's an all sort. I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's great.
Yeah, and I think this is one of his earlier roles. This is from 2004. I don't know actually. It also stars Brady
He's been acting
Corbet.
for a long time. He's been acting for a very long time, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, it also stars Brady Corbet, who obviously directed The Brutalist, which is crazy. And Michelle Trachtenberg, who's a really good actress and sadly passed in the last year or so. But it's okay. It's a film about a really serious topic. It is actually not. Well, obviously it has comedic elements because I think Greg Araki's writing is very much it has a certain tone. You can tell that it's him, and he's clearly someone who's quite funny. But this film in particular is not. It's not a comedy. It's I just think you should just go and watch it. I'm not gonna say much about it because, yeah, I just think everyone should go and watch it. It's yeah, I don't even know how to explain it. I don't think I'll ever watch it again because it's kind of fucked up. But you have to. I think everyone should watch it at least once. So yeah, I gave it 4.5, and I'll go into the rest of my Greg Araki watches later when you're done.
Yeah, so I'll do my next two. Weirdly enough, they're not films. The next two I'll choose. First one we'll go serious. I watched Louis Theroux's documentary, The Settlers. This was really, really good. There's honestly not loads I can say about it. Well, there's not loads I need to say about it because it kind of speaks for itself. I'm sure the media, you would have seen on social media, the coverage of it. It's a very honest exploration of the Zionist movement and settlership on the West Bank, and how these hateful people essentially just admit to it constantly. Louis Theroux doesn't really have to do anything. He just asks them about it, and they just confess to their crimes and moral sins. Yeah, it's very powerful. It's very sad. It's heavy, but it's very important. It's not made for people that know loads and loads and loads and loads and loads about the situation in Gaza and Palestine. It is made for people that maybe aren't so aware of the true state of events over there. So you maybe won't learn loads if you're very knowledgeable, but it will strike a chord nonetheless. Most recent thing I watched yesterday. I watched a comedy special by Dylan Moran called Monster, which I've been meaning to watch for fucking ages. Dylan Moran is a stand-up I've not seen loads of, but he's lauded as one of the best of all time. He's in things like Notting Hill, Shaun the Dead, other things, but he's best known for his stand-up work. And I've been meaning to watch Monster for ages. It's been talked about on loads of podcasts to listen to about how great it is. And it is easily one of the best comedy specials of all time. Came out in 2004. And he's just got this energy. So one of my favorite ever stand-up comics is Eddie Izzard. And Dylan Moran has got a very similar style to Eddie Izzard, where it's kind of off the cuff. It's all over the place. He starts smoking at one point. He's very performative and physical and says weird words and weird phrasings, and it just had me like laughing constantly. I was in such a good mood watching it. It's 85 minutes long. There is a free copy on YouTube. If you watch this and don't like it, I refuse to believe you like stand-up comedy, because for me, this is the gold standard of stand-up comedy. It's superb, and I highly, highly, highly recommend watching it. And I'll be watching more Dylan Moran specials soon. I'm aiming to get back into finishing off the last couple of oh God, what's his name? Yeah, I'm aiming to finish off the last couple of Dave Chappelle specials that I've not seen, because I like Dave Chappelle. Albeit I think some of his stick is getting a bit tired, but I do like Dave Chappelle broadly. So yeah, maybe you'll see over the next couple of weeks, next couple of episodes, you'll see quite a few stand up special reviews from me, because I've always loved stand up comedy, and I haven't seen loads of it in ages, so I'm trying to get back on the horse. Yeah, what's your last three? Is that the trilogy, right, by Greg Araki?
Well, I have the trilogy and one more film because you counted wrong. Sorry.
Oh damn!
Yeah, so it's called the Teen Apocalypse trilogy, I think. So I watched it in order. So the first one is called Totally Fucked Up. It was released in 1993, and I gave it 3 stars. Actually, it's not the best. It was definitely a decrease in quality from Mysterious Skin, which I still think is his best film. So, well, from the ones I've seen. And to be honest, I was still thinking about Mysterious Skin because this was the day after. But it's still entertaining enough to watch, and it's still kind of funny. And I was locked in to watch the whole trilogy anyway, so it didn't really matter. It's also the earliest one, so obviously it's probably not going to be the best. But it's the first one to feature James DeVal, who is in all 3 of the trilogy films. He was also in Donnie Darko. You might recognize him. But
Oh, he played the rabbit, right?
I don't know. Maybe.
In Donnie Darko. I'll have a little check. Yes, he played
But
Frank the Rabbit.
yeah, it's just some gay guys and maybe girls, I can't remember, in LA, and their parents kick them out, and they're just, going around and doing random shit and hanging out, and that's pretty much it. That's the whole film. The second one of the trilogy is called The Doom Generation, and this one is a lot better. I gave it 4 stars. It stars Rose McGowan, James DeVal again. They're kind of the main ones, and Jonathan. I don't know how to say that last name. Sheesh. I don't know. Anyway, Jonathan, which is also spelled really weird. It's spelled John
as in Megan Faye
John
situation?
Yeah, because it's spelled John, like John, and then Athon. Jonathan.
Oh.
Like a marathon of John.
One of my middle names is Jonathan, but I always forget how to spell it, despite the fact it's how you spell it normally. But that is a mental spelling of Jonathan.
Yeah, that's very weird.
Not a fan of that.
Anyway, this one's a lot better, because honestly, I think it's because there's more of a narrative. It's not as much of like a student experimental vibe as the first one. It's about this guy and a girl. They're dating, and then they're leaving a party, and then they run over this guy. And he's like, "Oh, let me in your car and like get me away because I'm running away from people." And they're like, "Whatever, yeah, sure." And then they go on this road trip together, and they all fall in love with each other. And there's a lot of violence, and there's a lot of, there's a lot more like of that surrealism vibe that I talked about. And they go through the US, and there's a lot of fucked up people, and they get into very violent encounters, and they have sex everywhere and whatever. Like it's just like a mess, but it's a good mess. And I think the dialogue might be.
Then, yeah.
Yeah, well, but anyway, it's kind of. God, I don't know how to explain it, but it's still that kind of vibe of like people hanging out, like teens hanging out in the 90s, but it's also like random surrealist shit going on. And yeah, the ending is like you love it or you hate it. It's very what the hell is going on? Like it's just the whole film is like that, but then the ending is like, okay, what was this guy on making this film? But it's great. I think you'd like it, to be honest. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It
I'll
might
have
be
to
a
give it
little
a
bit
try at
too
some point.
much, but yeah, it's good. I think the
Okay.
dialogue in this one is probably the funniest, and yeah, and James DeVoe is a massive himbo in that film. Although he is in every film, but I think that's the peak of his himboism. Anyway, next film, the last of a trilogy, is called Nowhere, and I also gave it 4 stars. And this one is the most like Dazed and Confused vibes, as you mentioned before. I didn't want to agree with you on it before because this is the one where it's like the most like that, where it's genuinely just groups of teens in the 90s meeting up at a party at the end, where everyone is like separate, in their own little stories, and at the end, they all meet up and interact and go through this thing. So that's kind of it's the most like that, but obviously I think it goes way further with the themes, and it's a bit darker at times, but it's also definitely just a like funny hangout film most of the time. And there's definitely surrealism in this film. That's a bit wacky. But oh, and I just want to mention the production design. I guess it's production design because the rooms of the teenagers are painted, like have these massive murals on like the walls of every like room. So the main, like kind of the lead guy, James, played by James DeVoe again, he has this massive mural on one of his walls that is like him with 2 pistols pointing at his head and then like a blue background, and it's so sick. I was so jealous of that. Like I
Shout
want
out to
that on my
the
wall.
set deck team.
Yeah, it's so cool. Um yeah, I think this I don't know if this is my favorite or the second one. To be honest, you don't have to watch the first one. I'd say just watch The Doom Generation and watch Nowhere. And yeah, all his games are really, all his films are really gay, and that's great. I wish life was as gay as that, but it's not. So yeah, you only get that through Greg Araki films, unfortunately. That's my 3, and I have one left, but I'll let you finish, and then I'll do that one.
Okay, cool. Next to Veronica, do you want me to start with a bad point or a high point? You can choose.
Bad, bad.
Bad. I watched on the 29th of April. I watched The Accountant, starring John
Ben Affleck.
Bernthal, Ben Affleck. I like Ben Affleck. He's a very clever man, Ben Affleck. I appreciate him. I did not, though, appreciate this film. 2 stars. It was. It has one of the most insane premises for a film I've ever seen. Um, but just like it's just quite dull. It's quite a boring film. The emotion doesn't really hit. The action is good, like it's fine. It's just like really unremarkable. I will probably watch the second one at some point. Probably that'll be one I watch at the end of the year when I'm trying to get my 2025 numbers up. I will go back and watch The Accountant too. But yeah, I can't recommend it. I mean, people will like it more than me. Broadly, it's kind of sitting at like the 3-star range, where people would just think it's like a solid action flick. I just didn't. I don't really like pure action films, as I've said many times. I need my action films to have action plus something else. I can't do raw action. So this wasn't really for me. It was. I expected to like it somewhat, but yeah, didn't deliver. But right after that, a couple of days after that, on the 2nd of May, I was, as we like to do, we like to scroll on Sky, see what they're showing, and I had a 10-minute break, and then I saw they were showing Chicago, which for me is one of the greatest films of all time. I have seen it 3 times since December, including this viewing. And every time I watch it, I become more and more convinced it is the greatest film of all time. I have quite literally no critiques of it. Richard Gere's performance is one of my favorites of all time. The cinematography is unbelievable. The editing is unbelievable. The choreography is unbelievable. It's just a masterpiece. It's a complete masterpiece, and it is currently second in my top four, ahead of Everybody Wants Some. And I feel like Punch Drunk Love could get moved down eventually, which is controversial. But yeah, this is just it's a masterpiece. I love it so much. Every time I watch it, I have the biggest grin on my face. It's 2 hours long-ish, maybe slightly shorter, and it flies by. It's funny, it's clever, it's entertaining, it's sad. There's a song in it called Mr. Cellophane, which John C. Reilly sings, and it's heartbreaking. And the best musical number in the film is Razzle Dazzle. That is the best. That is the highlight of the film. But yeah, I implore everyone, go watch Chicago. It's so entertaining. It's one of the best musicals ever made. Go watch it. I need to see it in theatre at some point because I love it.
It was the same kind of thing that you had with just going on Sky Cinema. Shout out Sky Cinema because we mentioned them quite a bit.
Sponsor
We
us,
don't
Sky
get paid
Cinema.
for it. Yeah. So I was on Sky Cinema yesterday, and I saw that, 10 minutes before it started, I was just flicking through it, and I saw they were showing Death Becomes Her, and I've heard of this film a lot because people say that some of it inspired The Substance, and I can definitely see that. I mean, so it's from 1992, directed by Robert Zemeckis, who actually directed the Back to the Future films and Forrest Gump, I'm just seeing that and I'm quite surprised because this film is actually so different to all of those. Okay, fair enough. So it stars Goldie Hawn, Bruce Willis, Meryl Streep, Isabella Rossellini. Those are the main actors in it, which is
Didn't
pretty
just jump in?
stacked.
Didn't either Darren Thornton or James McArdle? I think it's Darren Thornton listed Goldie Hawn as one of his four other mothers. So there's a
He
link there.
did. He did. I think it might have been Darren, yeah. Which, you know what, fair enough. uh, so the film, I think the bit where people are like, oh, The Substance was inspired by it is because there's this potion that you can drink, and it reverses your aging process. It makes you young forever. Like, you never die. You're just going to be really young forever, and you're going to be beautiful and whatever forever. Which is where the Substance comparison comes from. But the plot, other than that, is completely different. Like, it's really not, it's really not similar in any other way. It's definitely not a body horror film, and it's definitely a comedy. I think it gets a bit crazier as it goes on. The ending is just ridiculous. Like, the actual ending is just so ridiculous. Like, this film is so camp, and if you go into it with that in mind, you just have a really fun time, which is what I did. So it's about this woman who's dating this guy, and then Meryl Streep comes along and she steals him, and then the woman is like really depressed and angry at Meryl Streep for stealing her man because they used to be best friends. And then, she like wants to take revenge on her, and she plots for 7 years and then tries to get back into their lives and take him back, and then they both become obsessed with being young and beautiful, and so that the man picks them or whatever. Which, yeah, like it's a little bit stereotypical of their lives being, just about pleasing this guy, but it, as it goes on, it goes away from that, and it's more about actually realizing that it wasn't about the guy. It was about, first of all, like, yourself and your own self-image issues, and also about actually just taking revenge on one of your ex-friends, pretty much, more than doing it for the guy. It's just about proving someone wrong or making someone else's life worse or getting revenge. So that's what it comes out to be. I think Meryl Streep is really good. I honestly don't know any other performances of hers that I've been that impressed by May. I
Hey,
mean, she's
don't slag
alright
off
in
Mamma
Mamma
Mia.
Mia. Yeah. She's okay. I guess she's alright in The Devil Wears Prada. She's decent
Apparently,
in
she's
Little
very good
Women,
in
but
she's
not
very
really
good in a film
much.
called. Apparently, she's very good in a film called Kramer versus Kramer, which is one of my grandma's
Yeah,
favorites, which
I
I
haven't
need to
seen it.
watch soon. So I might report back in the future about that. But is that
But
us?
I
Are we
think
wrapped?
this performance, this is the Meryl
Go on.
Streep one that you should watch because she's actually funny and
Might dabble. I
it's
might
not
dabble.
a serious role.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well, to
because
round us
Mamma
out,
Mia is a really serious role, obviously.
yeah, to round us out, can you definitively recommend and write off one film for us?
Oh, I just closed the letterbox. I recommend Mysterious Skin, and
Any
I don't
write-offs or
recommend Parthenope because it's shit.
cool? I recommend. You know what? I'm pretty strong about Chicago, so I'll change it up. I recommend Dylan Moran Monster as a stand-up special to watch, and I don't recommend The Accountant because it's very bland, and there are much better action films out there.
So really quickly, I went on this film tour yesterday. No, it wasn't yesterday. 2 days ago. It's in Greenwich, at the Old Royal Naval College, and like some of the projects that were filmed there include stuff like Bridgerton, The Crown, Pirates of the Caribbean, Cruella, Sherlock Holmes, Napoleon, Les Miserables, Darkest Hour, Skyfall, Garfield, like everything pretty much. Loads of films being filmed there all the time, and they have a new walking film tour. And you have this great tour guide. Oh, we had this tour guide called Jonathan, who was also an actor, and he had just come back from filming in Lithuania, which was quite crazy. And he's really good at explaining, how it works, some of the behind the scenes stuff, showing you the exact stills from the location, so you can kind of map it out, where you are related to where they were in the film. You go through a lot of different outside locations, and then you go inside. You see a really nice chapel, not Chapel Roan, and then you also go to the Painted Hall, which is probably the most beautiful place in the tour. I think it's worth going to the tour just to see that and have it very well explained. All the paintings in there and etc. There are a few things that happened that I thought were quite funny. So first of all, my name badge. My name badge gave me the surname Kubrick, like Stanley Kubrick, and that's not my surname. I think it just came up on autocorrect, and they were too lazy to check. And so,
There are worse names to be given, by the way. There are much
no,
worse names to be
honestly,
given.
I was quite happy with it. It was great. Like, when we were leaving the tour guide asked me if I'm related to Stanley Kubrick because he wanted to ask me questions about him, and I'm like, no, sorry, no, not related. Just quite sad because now I kind of wish I was. That would be really cool. But I did keep the name badge. I have it in my bag. Don't tell anyone. But
As you should, by the
that
way. As you should.
yeah, and then there was also this story we were told. So there was this guy at the tour. He's like the main point of contact for the film people who want to use the area as a filming location. And first of all, he asked us about the podcast, and we obviously mentioned that we do film and that we have a background in football and stuff. And he talked to us about goal, which is quite funny. Somehow everyone mentions goal when you talk about football and film, and I still haven't
By the
watched
way,
it.
what we've noticed, I wasn't on this tour obviously, but what we've noticed that if you lead with "we love film, but our background's in football," people automatically perk up. It's great.
Yeah, it is great. And he told us this story about how like quite recently they were filming parts of one of the Jurassic World films, and they didn't want anyone to know what was filming there. So they sometimes use code names for the projects that are filming there, so that no one knows, right? Because it's like secretive and stuff. And they were told not to tell anyone, use a code name, whatever. So the vans arrived the day before. They were like unmarked. There was nothing on them to spoil anything. And then the day of filming, they just rock up with this massive dinosaur skull and put it in the middle of the location. And then the press obviously all catch on to what's going on, and that it's a Jurassic World film because they brought a massive dinosaur skull and put it in the middle of the area. So that was quite
It's the
funny.
thought that counts. They tried.
Yeah, they apparently they were like really serious about it as well. Like no one could know what is happening here. It's the same as whenever they did New Seasons of Bridgerton. They used a code name Hampstead, and were like, "Oh yeah, they're filming a new show called Hampstead." And then people would be walking past and seeing the actors and the costumes and thinking that's obviously Bridgerton. Like, what are you on about? So yeah, they do try their best, but I don't know why they think that would ever work, because surely you can see the actors and everything to do with the film. But anyway, we also had this lesson at the end on how to communicate using a fan. We got to keep the fans, which is cool. And you do get to keep the fans if you go on the tour as non-press. And it was like fan communication. Apparently they do it in Bridgerton. I don't know because I haven't watched it. But that was quite fun. And then at the very end, because, we're press, they did give us an afternoon tea kind of bit, and we had champagne. And this is quite funny, and it actually makes me look quite stupid, but I will tell the story. So I went up to the bit with the champagne glasses, and this guy was there, all dressed up really fancy and whatever, serving us champagne. And I asked him if I could have some. And so he starts pouring it. He pours like the tiniest bit in my glass, and then he moves the bottle away. And obviously he's doing that because he's waiting for the bubbles to go down. So I'm really stupid, and I pick up the
You
glass
tasted it.
thinking that that's how much he poured me. And he's like, "No, put the glass back down. Like, do you really think I would pour you that much?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I actually did." Like, I don't know how much like champagne we were allowed to have. I genuinely thought like they gave us 2 drops of champagne in a glass, and that was
And
my
ration.
that was my ration. Yeah, and he was just like, "Do you seriously think I would totally pour you that much?" I was like, "Yeah, I did. How was I meant to know that we kept getting refills and stuff? Like, how was I meant to know that? It's expensive." But that was great. The food was great as well. Actually, they had these really small like finger sandwich things, and we had cake and scones. And actually, do you say scones or scones?
I'm
I say
Scott.
scones.
Yeah,
Scone.
yeah. I don't like when people
Yeah.
say scones. It's too contrived. Also, the best thing about scones is the joke. Have you heard the
What
joke
joke?
about scones?
No.
It's a proper dad joke. It's what's the fastest cake to eat? Scone.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a classic. It's a
Yeah.
classic. You can't do
Well,
that
the
with
food
scone.
was really good. And actually, I think you were quite jealous that you went there because, yeah, the food and the champagne was great, and the film tour was
Yeah,
really interesting.
I went shopping with my mum because I need to buy a new suit, and the suit is lovely in fairness, but equally I didn't have champagne, so
Yeah. And, yeah, if you want to go on the tour, because it is going on, it's part of a Visit Greenwich campaign, because a lot of films get filmed in Greenwich, no one knows this. Well, people do know that, but you'll know even more about it. They also have a picture house in Greenwich, so if you're there already, you can go to the cinema. We met someone who works there, didn't we, Create? Greenwich Picture House is
yes, of
quite good.
course.
So it's if you just type in a Greenwich walking film tour, I'm sure it shows up. And it's like, I think it's it does. It's every Friday and Saturday. So if you're ever there, you have nothing to do, you're in London, going visiting places, and you want to see something that's a bit more, you know, interesting than just going on the London Eye, which is just shit anyway. So, go on the Greenwich Walking Film Tour. It's a lot better.
You heard
I
her.
think that's
Go on a
everything.
walking tour. And that is
Yeah,
this
go on the
time
walking tour.
is actually the end of the episode. It's the end of the actual episode. Thank you for listening. Link to all of our socials will be in the episode description. Our email is floodlightpod@gmail.com, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
Veronica, pleasure as always. Thank you for joining us again.
Yeah, thanks.
You're very welcome. Until next time, keep watching and keep consuming.